Hello everyone, back tuning in to today's second video. Actually, we already did a video earlier on today looking at the Isle of Wight Festival, so that's coming up in around a week's time. If you're interested in what the weather may be doing for that, then it's on the festivals and sporting events page. Looks pretty good, I have to say, for anybody that's got plans for that particular weekend, next weekend. This is JMA Friday, so as always, we're going to have our regular Friday month-ahead look ahead. It's going to take us well into July. We go almost to the middle part of July, actually, with this update. So, of course, we've had a lot of warm weather over the past few weeks. We know that, particularly for the south, warm conditions are likely to continue in the days ahead, and the question is whether this will extend through into July. If it does, then we'll be able to start thinking perhaps about summer 2018 being a little bit of a classic, but it's too early to go there just yet because it's still early days of the summer. We're only halfway through June and there's plenty of time for things to go down the tube. So we'll have a look at the JMA and CFS V2 models for you in a moment. Just say that today's third video will be coming up later on this afternoon, and that will have your detailed week to 10-day look ahead. But we'll get on with JMA Friday for you now. So we'll begin with the 500 millibar height anomalies from the North Pole view down. So this is the North Pole of the Northern Hemisphere. Just here, this is the mid latitudes, Northern Hemisphere around there, and the British Isles is just there. These are broken down into weekly periods, so the first week period will be taking us from the 15th today through to the 22nd of June. Blue extrapolates low pressure, yellow, orange and red extrapolating to high pressure. So in the week ahead we find we've got an area of above average heights just to our south-southwest, ridging through the Atlantic into Central Europe. We've got below average heights up to the north. The flow and the jet is coming through rather like that. So it's a little bit more unsettled for the north. There is a little bit more influence from the jet stream and from the Atlantic for the northern part of the country. For the south, we're still close to that ridge, and whilst there may be a few showery bursts at times, essentially high pressure is dominating there in the week ahead. Probably not as warm as we've had it recently because the wind is coming in from off the Atlantic, but it certainly isn't particularly cold. We go through to week 2. This takes us from the 22nd through to the 29th of June. Again, we see above average heights from the Atlantic extending into the UK. So strong anticyclonic signals going through to the end of June with the below average heights pushed off up to the north along with the jet stream as well. If anything, that's a strengthening of the ridge close to the UK. So that could be a drier and a warmer week coming up there for the final week of June compared to week 1. That ridge does look almost centred over the top of the UK. And then we go through to weeks 3 and 4. This one takes us from the 29th of June through to the 13th of July with above average heights, high pressure again, very close to the country. This time, perhaps going a little bit more towards the northeast of us. So the jet stream's going up there, perhaps, and there may be a trough around there somewhere. So it doesn't actually show below average heights. But just here, I question whether we might have a trough. If we do, then particularly southern and eastern parts of the country, it would be warm because we're bringing the air in potentially from an east to southeasterly direction. But we could be threatening thunderstorms, maybe thundery rain for southern and eastern parts of the country. Perhaps. But for the north, anyway, high pressure but above average height still remains in control. And overall, it's a warm month to come. So even going well into July, looks like the weather will be staying warm if this is correct. Right, let's have a look at the temperature and precipitation anomalies that go with those heights. So we move on to the tropical and mid-latitude view. British Isles just here in the top right-hand corner of the chart as you are looking at it on this view. We've got above average heights down to the southwest, below average heights up to the northwest. The jet stream and the flow goes through rather like that. In the week ahead, we've got temperature anomalies coming out warmer than average, quite substantially so, 1 to 2 degrees above average. Most parts of Europe has a warm scene as well, so temperatures are holding up in the week ahead, even though it's a flat westerly, so it's maybe warmer than average, but maybe at a reduced level compared to what we've had through the first couple of weeks of June, but nevertheless still coming out warmer than average. Precipitation wise, a little bit wetter than average for Scotland, drier than average elsewhere. Then we go through to week 2, and if anything, the ridge is strengthening here, becoming more centred over the country in week 2. So a strong anticyclonic signal then. It means that temperature anomalies remain warmer than average. We're still coming out 1 to 2 degrees, maybe a little bit more above average. So it's going to be a very warm June if this is right, with a temperature anomaly of at least a degree and a half above average, possibly even 2 degrees above average. Very warm June. As far as precipitation anomalies are concerned, again, generally drier than average. Even Scotland looks like it's going drier than average in week 2. So we finished June on a very warm and dry note, with high pressure centering over the country. And then we're through to weeks 3 and 4. This one takes us from 29th of June through to the 13th of July. We have the above average heights then, more towards the north of the country perhaps, and weaker pressure, not low pressure, but weaker pressure is to the south. We thought that might be starting to threaten some thunderstorms or maybe thundery rain to southern and eastern parts of the country. Temperature anomalies are still holding up, substantially warmer than average in this week. So it's a very warm month coming up. If the JMA is right, we're looking at an anomaly of around 2 degrees above average from start to finish. Precipitation-wise, no sign of those thunderstorms or the thundery rain I was concerned about, just continuing drier than average. If this is right, this gets us to the middle of July with a lot of warm, possibly at times hot and dry weather, and by this point we'll have had 6 weeks of this from the start of June. So by this point, if it's right to the middle of July and we're warm and dry, we will be able to start thinking about summer 2018 being a bit of a classic hot, dry summer. But again, too early to say. This is speculative stuff, so it may not come off, but certainly that's what the JMA is signalling there for the next 4 weeks. Let's have a look at CFS V2. So these again, 500 millibar heights. They're broken down into week periods. The first week period take us from the 15th through 21st of June. We've got below average heights to our north, above average heights to the south and to the southwest. We're bringing a flat westerly flow through, with jet stream brings some unsettled conditions to the north, but for the south, actually we're close to that ridge, so a reasonable amount of dry weather in the south. Week 2, look at that, it's the 22nd to 28th of June. Again, same signals as the JMA. The ridge is strengthening very close to the country, which pushes the jet stream off like that. So week 2, for the final week of June, we're going significantly drier and warmer again. That could be a little bit of a heat wave being hinted at perhaps through the second week of the period and the final week of June. That is week 3. It's the 29th of June to the 5th of July, with above average heights still very close to the country, maybe shifting a little bit more towards our east. We've got below average heights down here that might be starting to threaten some sort of thundery breakdown perhaps to southern parts of the country, but it would be very warm, especially so in the south. Could be hot weather there. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 6th through to the 12th of July. The above average heights then look like they're a little bit more towards our west. Also a weak signal for some above average heights over Scandinavia. So maybe the idea is some sort of ridge type feature up there. And then maybe sort of lower pressure around here. But again, very weak signals. If we have got lower pressure there, it will still be very warm, but might be threatening heavy rain or thunderstorms to southern and eastern parts of the country. But again, it's a weak signal there by the time you get through to week 4. Temperature anomalies. Now, this is very surprising. This is a temperature anomaly for the week ahead, the 15th to 21st of June. The CFS is bringing this out cooler than average. I'm very, very dubious about that. I'm really dubious to have a cooler than average week in the week ahead. The JMA looks much more what you'd expect in the weather pattern for the week ahead. It will be a bit cooler, yes. It will be cooler compared to what we've had over the past few weeks. But nevertheless, I think we'll still come out, especially for England and Wales, with a warmer than average deviation. The only thing that could account for that is if we're getting some notably cool nights. I'm not really seeing any sign of notably cold or cool nights in the weekend. So I think it'll still come out warmer than average, albeit at a reduced level compared to what we've had through the past few weeks, especially for the north. Now, by week 2, the 22nd and 28th of June, we're back to those warmer than average conditions again. So no problems there. It's warmer than average, substantially so, maybe hot even, for the final week of June. Week 3 also comes out warmer than average, especially for England and Wales. That could be another quite hot week. Notice much of Europe is coming out very warm to hot in that week. Potential maybe for some thundery weather. And then week 4, which is the 6th to the 12th of July, that one is just going a little bit cooler again, as it's hinting that we get that ridge building to the west and also to the northeast of us, which is probably dragging in the air from an east or northeasterly direction. Finally, we'll have a look at the rainfall and for the week ahead. So northern parts of the country coming out a little bit wetter than average in the week ahead. Otherwise, it's near normal. It will be a slightly cooler and more unsettled week compared to what we've been used to. But I think the CFS is going over the top with this. Away from Scotland anyway, there it might be quite a lot wetter and cooler compared to what we've been used to due to the influence of the jet stream. But for England and Wales in particular, I think this is a bit over the top. I think it'll be still warmer and drier than average, just not as warm and as dry as it has been. Then we go through to week 2, which is the 22nd to 28th of June, and that's coming out drier than average for England and Wales in particular. That looks like it's going to be a hot and dry week, I think, for the final week of June, if these models are correct. Week 3, which is the 29th of June to the 5th of July, still hinting at being a bit drier than average for the north, near normal rainfall elsewhere. Notice it is going above average with the rainfall across France and Central Europe over there, however, and also above average across northern parts of Spain into Bay of Biscay. So again, I think the hints are there that after that hot and dry final week of June, we possibly go into some sort of thundery breakdown during the opening days of July. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 6th through to the 12th of July. Looks a bit drier than average for the north, near normal rainfall elsewhere. Again, by this point, the signals are becoming very weak. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but I think the hints are there that certainly the final week of July is heading for very warm and dry conditions. The week ahead is going to be a little bit more changeable compared to what we've been used to. I mean, we know this anyway. We've been talking about it in the videos a lot. So particularly for the north and the northwest, there will be more rain compared to what we're used to, and it will be cooler because the jet stream is heading our way to some degree. For the south, I think these models are a bit over top, or CFS is a bit over the top. I think it'll still be warmer than average for most of us in the week ahead, but at a reduced level. And then beyond that, we're looking at a hot and dry spell, potentially at some point through the final week of June. The hints have been there as well over the past few days in some of the model output. And then into July, it's a little bit more of a mixed bag then, but I think we might be hinting at some sort of thundery breakdown after that warm and dry into June, maybe a bit thundery early July. Before then, all bets are off really as you go further in towards the second week of July. Hints are still there, there's a lot of high pressure around, but the exact position of that high pressure and what it means as far as temperatures and everything else is concerned, that's to be determined. So it's a case of steady as she goes. It looks like the summer pattern is still holding up, certainly to the end of June, maybe thundery early July, and then we see where we go after that early July period. Right, it's all just a snapshot, this, of what models are showing. They're highly unreliable, so it's not to be relied upon. It just gives you a hint of what could be ahead in the month ahead, but they might look very different next week, so always keep that at the back of your mind. With any long-range forecast, there's a big health warning associated with it. Today's third and final video, we'll be having a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days, so come back for that then. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.